Hey guys, welcome to my June wrap up. First, let's go into a few little stats. I read 6 books this month, and on top of that, I did have one DNF, really fun. I had 1 fantasy book, 2 sci-fi books, 1 romance, 1 literary fiction, and 1 nonfiction book. I feel like this month has been the month where I've had the most different genres in a month, like low-key ever, because like I don't normally read a lot of sci-fi, I don't normally read nonfiction, just a big mixture, and I don't normally read a lot of fantasy and literary fiction at the same time. I'm normally in the mood for one or the other, but I had a reading vlog idea, so you know, we had books picked based on that. Okay, let's get into the books I read. First off, I thought I'd start with the DNF. It is a soft DNF. It's not the book's fault. I'm just not in a rom-com romance mood, and I haven't been for the longest time, but I was just kind of bored and it was late at night and I wanted to read something on my Kobo, so I started reading Caught Up by Liz Tom Ford. I actually really like the Windy Cindy series in general. Like, I think her books are good. I think the relationships in them are fun, but I was just really not in the mood. I literally got like 70% through the book and I was like, this is good, I just don't care right now, which was my sign to maybe put it down, pick it up a little bit later, so that I don't rate the book poorly just because I wasn't in the mood, you know? The first book I literally finished on the 1st of June, and I also had it in my spring wrap up just because I only finished the last 10 pages in June, so it like barely counts, but I will take any excuse to talk about this book and this series, and that is Fearless, I was about to say Powerless, by Lauren Roberts, which is the last book in the Powerless trilogy. There will be more novellas coming out, which I am very excited about, but let's talk about Fearless. I really enjoyed this book. I think I ended up giving it a 4.75 just because I do feel like the beginning was a little bit slow in terms of plot than what I was expecting from the end of Reckless, which is the book before this one. I just expected it to kind of go straight into a lot of drama, a lot of plot, a lot of things going on, and it took a little bit of a minute. Also, the beginning did kind of focus on this one character that I despise, so personally I was just like, can we get on with it? I love the characters in this series so much. I thought that the ending twist was so fun. I thought a lot of the things with said character that I despise that were going on for the latter half of the book were really interesting, and I liked how a lot of the things played out. It is the last book in a series, so I can't really say any level of specifics at all, but I did really enjoy it, and I really like Lauren Roberts' writing, and I think the banter that she has between characters is just incredible. So yeah, I did really enjoy this one, and I would very much recommend reading the Powerless series. I love this series. The first book is so good. I'm just gonna give a brief synopsis of the first book because I can't really talk about this book because it is the last book in a series. The world is basically split between ordinaries and elites, where ordinaries don't have powers and elites do, and in this kingdom of Ilia, the ordinaries are killed because they are said to have a plague that degrades and destroys the power of the elites. Basically, our main character, Peyton, is an ordinary, but she has like a fake power where she says that she's a psychic because she's just gotten really good at reading people, and the main love interest is one of the princes of the kingdom, so you know, he basically stands for destroying her entire race. But you know, we get trials, we get balls, there's like a little bit of like a attempt at a love triangle, which I normally hate a love triangle, but this one is so obvious like who wins that it's just kind of like fun. And yeah, I don't know, I just love this book. The trials are so interesting, the banter between them is so good, and I love it. I love Kai and Peyton, and I would highly recommend this series. Then the next book we have is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I love Emily Henry books so much, like literally so much. She is one of my favorite authors of all time. Her books are absolutely incredible, and this book came out I think like mid-May. Yeah, I think it came out like mid-May, and guys, This book had a lot of mixed reviews from people because it is a split perspective, split timeline story about these two writers who have been tasked to kind of compete to write the memoir of this very famous, basically like princess of the Hollywood world back in like the 50s, 60s era. And she is now way older, hasn't been seen in the public eye in a long time, but wants to tell her story, so they are competing to tell her story, and the split perspectives go between the main character's love story and her like telling her story. But I thought it was so wonderful. I thought the way that the stories connected was so interesting. I thought the drama and the intrigue of Margaret, which is the lady's story, was so interesting because it's literally just like rich Hollywood family drama. It is so fun to read about, but also like so heart-wrenching because there was like so many just crazy things that had happened in her life, and it literally felt like I was reading someone's actual memoir. I just felt so emotional. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened to someone. And it's like, no, actually this is literally a fictional story, but it was so good, and I absolutely adored it. And I absolutely adored Alice, which is our main character. And yeah, I just loved that she was a very bubbly and happy character, but not in like the sunshine grumpy kind of stereotypical way. I felt like she was that way because she had been through a lot of hardships, and so she was like, no, I'm choosing to look on the bright side. And she just felt like such a breath of fresh air to read. I feel like a lot of romance books don't have that kind of character, and I really loved her. And suffice it to say, I gave it 5 stars. I love that book so much, and I will read anything that Emily Henry writes. The next book we have is the start of a new series, which I am very excited about, and that is Red Rising by, ooh, this is literally the wrong book. Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is the first book in a sci-fi series. It is originally a trilogy, which is Red Rising, Golden Sun, and Morning Star, and then they expanded and added a few more books. I think it's currently 6, but I think that he's coming out with a 7th to end the series. But Red Rising, anything that you've heard about this book is probably very correct. When I heard that it is basically just Hunger Games but like sci-fi in space, I was like, I genuinely don't believe that. Like, I feel like people classify things as Hunger Games when they're not actually, like, it's just like trials or like fighting or something, but you know, you don't have like the real essence behind Hunger Games with like the dystopia and the caste systems and like the battle for like the greater good and like equality and like democracy and all of that. Like, I feel like that never holds up in things that people say is a book that's basically Hunger Games. But this was literally Hunger Games in space, like in every way it could possibly be. Like, first like 50% of this book I was like, oh my god, I love the way that this is Hunger Games, because it focused on the caste systems and like lower colors, higher colors, like people not being treated as people basically just being slaves. Like, it was so interesting, and like so many of the things that they said was basically like straight out of Hunger Games, which like personally as someone who loves Hunger Games I loved, but I was like, okay, it's low-key just a regurgitation, but like it was really interesting to me. And then we got into like actual like trials and training and like insane brutality and like the most disturbing deaths for what is told to you to be like the greater good of like having one specific group on top of this society. And I just found it so interesting. I really enjoyed it. I will say I thought the beginning was pretty slow, but I would say overall it was good. Also, like in the first book, he is a 16-year-old boy and he acts like a 16-year-old boy, which is like fine. Like, you know, I'm glad that they did that, because I feel like a lot of the times people like don't have characters actually act their age and it just feels a little fake. But like, because he was a 16-year-old boy, it was a little bit annoying sometimes hearing his inner monologue or like things that he would say. But I thought it was done really well, especially like with him aging through the rest of the books. I appreciate Darrow a lot more. Also, like the characters are so interesting. I honestly don't know if I've ever read like a fantasy or a sci-fi book that was so plot focused. Like I normally read books that are like, maybe it'll be like 50-50 on like plot and character, but this book is really plot. And personally, I've just, since I haven't read that before, I just, the whole time I was kind of like waiting to like learn more about the characters or like feel more for them and stuff like that. That's not the book's fault at all. That is literally just a me problem. So I did give it like a 4-star, I think, but I did really enjoy it. I just like, I'm not used to just having like characters up and die so abruptly and like not have attached. Like I'm like, oh, that person we're probably gonna like learn more about and get attached to, and it's like, oop, nope, just died. And I was like, this is, it's very not Hunger Gamesy, very Game of Thronesy in that aspect. Also Hunger Gamesy a bit, but like in the Hunger Games you do have certain characters that you do get very attached to, and in this I was attaching myself to characters, but it was because I was like expecting to learn more. I did really enjoy it, and I do have some characters from the series that I love so much, but I would say overall it is a very plot-based series, which I'm just not used to, but I did really enjoy. So I would recommend. Then we have a big switch up, and I read The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. This is, I think, like my first nonfiction of the year. Yeah, I don't think I even read a single nonfiction last year, if I'm being completely honest, which is kind of crazy because I used to read a lot of memoirs. I just haven't recently. I don't know why, I just haven't. But this is a self-help book about the Let Them Theory, which is basically taking the power out of people and like their opinions and putting it back in your hands. I feel like for people pleasers, this is a great book because it's basically just being like, let people think what they want of you, let people do what they want, because like in the end they're gonna do it one way or another. So instead of like sitting there worrying about that, act how you want to act, let you be who you want to be. She explains it a lot better, you know, she's got like 300 pages in here. But I did really enjoy this book. I would say if I had read it like a few years earlier, it would have probably hit harder because I have just simply kind of implemented this theory without the actual words let them in the past like 2 years of my life. But I thought it was written very well, and I liked the real world applications that she put in it, and I liked the little like stories that she had of her own life that go with it. I didn't rate it just because I feel like it's kind of weird to rate like a self-help book, but I would recommend it if you are like a big people pleaser or if you just care too much about other people's opinions. Then we have Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. This book is absolutely incredible. First of all, the cover is stunning and the sprayed edges, like I love them, but the prettiest part of this book is truly the inside. It is such a beautiful and heartwarming story. I read the back during my video that was like reading books recommended by booksellers, where I read this book and Red Rising and The Let Them Theory, and I was like very confused because it kind of made it feel like it was a mystery book where this octopus is finding out the mystery, this woman's disappeared son, but like you do have that in the story, but like it is not that. It is a beautiful, heartwarming yet heartbreaking tale of connection and family and just like being there for people that like maybe haven't shown that they deserve it, but like everybody in the world deserves connection and love, and giving that to people and just loving so freely. I feel like that is really the sentiment of this book. I thought it was so beautiful. Basically we have, what is his name? Marcellus, which is the octopus. He is a, I think, is it a giant or a great Pacific octopus? One of those. And he is in this little aquarium in, I think it's like Washington or Oregon, like off the coast. And there's this lady who's like in her late 60s, and she works there at night as the cleaner, and she basically befriends Marcellus. She starts talking to him. He's like very anti-humans because, you know, they like captured him and put them in this tank. Like they call it rescuing because like he was injured and all of this stuff, but like to him it felt like being captured because he was in this contained cell alone like all these years. And it just, such a beautiful story of like their friendship and connection. And then you also have this other story that's going on at the same time about, God, what's his name? This is bad. I need his name. Cameron. The separate story that's going on at the same time is about Cameron, and he just kind of doesn't really like know what to do with his life. He's in his 30s. He lives with his aunt because his mother abandoned him when he was young, and he doesn't know who his father is, and he's basically just like trying to find answers, trying to figure out what to do with his life. And he stumbles upon this town with this aquarium because he's trying to figure out who his dad is, and he like found something that like has some connection to the town. He begins a friendship with Tova, which is the cleaning lady. It's just a very sweet relationship, and then Marcellus helps them figure out who Tova's son is, who disappeared like 30 years ago, and like what happened there. And it's just such a sweet and heartwarming, heartbreaking story. I thought the end literally shattered me. I read this entire book on a plane ride, and I was literally sobbing on the plane ride, like trying to hide my tears from people, because the end, if you know, you know, Marcellus, like that, I can't even say, but just like it broke me so much, but it also like healed a part of me. I feel like I just said this the other day when I was filming my mid-year book tag, but I feel like everybody needs to read this book. Everybody could take something from it, feel something from it, connect to it in some way. I just think it's so incredible. And she's like a 4.5, 4.75. She's incredible, and I love her so much. That's it. Then our last book is Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, which is the second book in the Red Rising series. I thought this one was so good. Like, it just picked it up straight off with like so much intrigue and plot. Like how I said the first book was slow at the beginning because we were getting a lot of like world building, and if you've read the book, you know we just had to do a lot before we got into the thick of it. This book is entirely just in the thick of it. From page 1 to the very last page, you are just going through completely insane things, and I thought it was so interesting. I love the character connections in this book. I actually thought this one was so interesting with a lot of the unexpected connections, but then also unexpected betrayals, and I don't know, I just really like this one, and I would give her like a 4.25. Like, I can see myself just liking this series more and more, and hopefully getting a little bit more out of some of the characters that I like feel like I genuinely know in my heart like are going to stay till the end. But this one character that died, I was so shook. Like, I did not think that they were gonna die. I can't say who, I can't say anything about it, but like I was so surprised. Like, they felt like they were gonna make it to the end. So honestly, I don't even know anything. Everybody is just dying. This book is literally just like every single person dying. Well, that is it from my June wrap up. For a little recap, we had Fearless by Lauren Robert, then we had Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, Red Rising by Pierce Brown, The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, and Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. And then I DNF'd Caught Up by Liz Tomford. I have to say, I was in a bit of a slump this month, and I feel like that was just from having so many like back-to-back themed reading vlogs where I wasn't necessarily able to like mood read, and I just had a lot of things going on. So I feel like I read a lot less than I had wanted to. But honestly, weirdly enough, June, although a summer month when I am typically like free from like actual responsibilities, I think I literally read 0 books in June last year, 0 books in June the year before, and maybe like 1 or 2 books in June the year before that. So I would say 6 books and a DNF is really good in comparison, so I will take it. But yeah, I would say it was a pretty good reading month, honestly. like in terms of ratings, I had a good time. I will see you guys next month for my July wrap up. Thanks for watching. Bye.